Hello YouTube, welcome to another video here at Dynamic Photowerks. Today we're going to be talking about how to improve your photography workflow and improve the quality of your edits. So as you know, I am a commercial automotive photographer. I shoot a lot of cars and therefore I've edited a lot of car photos. Through all that, I've learned a lot of new techniques over the years, some of which I've learned from others and some of which I've learned from myself, just exploring ideas in Photoshop. And I'm going to be talking about one of those ideas with you today about how to clean up car photos in a kind of a strange way, but I think it's going to be very helpful because it helps reveal things you can't easily see that really make your photograph just that much better if you're looking for that high-end car photography for commercial clients. All right, so let's get started. So this technique I'm going to teach you is very quick and very easy and helps reveal even hidden issues in your car subject, the paint, and like reflections in that paint. It's really something that I've found very useful, and it's very easy. It just looks a little weird, and maybe it is weird, but it's something that works really well for me, and I think you're going to find it helpful too if you're shooting cars. So let's get started. I'm on my computer here. I've got two files we're going to look at today. These are both raw images. One's outdoor, sort of with a tree background, and one's sort of in an urban environment. We're just going to start by opening in Photoshop. Let's start with this one. All right, so here's our raw image in Photoshop. What we're going to do, obviously this is totally raw. I haven't touched anything yet. If you want, you can just put a little curve on there just to start to juice it up just a little bit and make it a little more usable. Pull out the shadows, bring down the highlights just a little bit. And then I'll do another one that's blue, kind of give it a little coolness to it. Maybe something like that. That's a fine place to start. All right, so what you're going to notice is, as my computer zooms in very, very slowly here, is there are obviously lots of little things in the paint. And you can go ahead and clean these out with your clone tool or a variety of other tools. But first, what I like to do is actually open another curves adjustment layer. And this is where it gets weird. I'm going to go and just start making these really sharp curves. It's going to take a little bit of time. Basically what I want to do is I want to fill the entire thing out with as sharp of curves as possible, but without clipping. So you're going to see right where it touches the curve there to the top or the bottom. You don't want it to clip like this. So you want it to just go right to the edges though. And then we're going to fill it in with a bunch of them. Oop, like that. And there is a limit to how many little curves you can do, so just fill it up with a good number of them. And it's going to start to look like kind of rainbow and weird, and people are going to think you're weird if they see your screen and think you're like reading the Matrix or something, but it's actually, oops, now I'm getting all caught up. So kind of a nice, evenly dispersed, oh, and that's the last of them. So let me spread that out just a little bit more. So that's where we're gonna start. And this thing is now just gonna sit in the background. Let me put it out of the way. So now it looks all crazy, right? But the beauty of this though is it's literally stretching the pixels as far as they can possibly go, and you can see every little issue going on in the painted surface of this car, which is where we're kind of focusing today. What I'm going to do is just duplicate the background layer just so we're not making changes to our background layer. If we made a mistake, we can go back to that. But let's just start. Obviously, we're going to look at all the little things that I don't like. So let's start here. I'm going to grab my clone stamp. Look at all these little specks there. Don't like that. And you can start to see the exact gradation, or whatever, the change from colors way more drastically with this technique, with this curves adjustment layer on top of it. Without it, you don't. It's much harder to see those little imperfections, and depending on the photo, some are darker, some are lighter. This effect won't be as effective on every photo, but it's certainly a great place to start if you want to just clean up a lot of those little things rather than doing it on the base image where it's actually pretty hard to see because it's pretty flat. What I like here is it pushes those shadows and highlights to the absolute max, and it gives you a great opportunity to clean it up. So we're going to pull that out. I'm going to start to get out these little lines, and obviously you want to work with the shading and the gradient you're seeing, the natural gradient behind these issues, so we want to start to look at the direction of those gradients. Right now it's sort of on an angle. I'm going to make sure I'm kind of following that same angle as I make my adjustment here, or my stamp tool to clean it up, right? So then you can kind of smooth it out nice, make sure it all kind of blends nicely, and you can use any tool you want for here because you're still working on the background copy layer. You're not making changes on top of your curves effect here. You're working underneath it right now. So you're actually working on that gray layer, the normal layer, but I can see everything so much clearer, and I'm going to be able to clean out all the little effects, or like the bad reflections, much easier. So this is one thing that I've figured out that I use all the time, just to clean out these little things. Like, we'll use this as an example. This is kind of a distraction right here, right? Behind the wheel. You kind of barely see that when it's not highlighted with our adjustment layer. It just isn't much of a thing, but when it's on, it's like you can see those bright little specks, and I'm going to clean all that out and kind of make sure it looks smooth and even. And I'll even start over here, kind of start to pull that in with my stamp tool, nice and smooth. Make it a little bigger there to smooth it out even more. And we're going to smooth that in. So that looks already better there, smoother. And looky here, we can even start to see it looking pretty good. I'm going to come a little farther though. I'm actually going to go 50% opacity. And that's looking good. Obviously we don't want to influence the door edge there, so make sure not to go over that. And that is looking so much better already. So that is one way to do it. Here's a kind of a complex image with a lot of contrast, a lot of shadows and things. You're going to see a lot more issues in photos like this. But even on a photo that is shot outdoors, out in the open, you're gonna bring out issues in the paint that you really didn't even know were there. This is a photo. Oh, that's the wrong application. This is a photo I shot out in a parking lot. Really nothing around, so if I'm going to use this effect, I'm really going to look for those issues that are probably just on the paint already, not necessarily reflections. But it's pretty effective. And I'll just, since I already made it over here, I'm just going to grab it, copy it, and paste it. Now look at that. We can see everything in the paint now. And actually you can see, I didn't even notice this before, but there's actually looks like a little dent or imperfection in the paint there. And I didn't even see it until I saw it in the rainbow here, because you can see it so well. So let me duplicate the background layer and just grab a gradient tool and just sort of brush it away. Let's do that again. Working on that same sort of level of the gradient to make sure it's going to look nice. And that looks so much better already. It is gone, and you can see it so well with this effect. So let's see if there's anything else on here really quick. Just a couple of tiny little specks that maybe little issues in the paint. Oops. We're just going to grab that, click there, click it away, and it disappears. A couple of little weird specks up here that don't belong. We want that nice like green part to show and not be a distraction. That's the big thing. So just a couple of little cleanups there that didn't belong. Anything else? As I said, this is a pretty clean car and a pretty clean photo. So here's a good example right here. It looks like a small tiny shadow or imperfection again in the paint. This little knob right here. This little like bump out in the blue part. So that looks a little strange. So I'm just going to kind of take care of that and smooth it out. So that looks better, and it is gone. It's invisible. I didn't even see it before. I saw it with my adjustment layer, and now it is perfectly fixed. Here's another one at the front. I'm not sure what that is. Just a tiny little white mark there. We're going to clean that up, and it will be perfect. So obviously be careful here near the edges. If you needed to, you can mask that away on a separate layer. Make sure all the rainbow look there is evenly spaced gradients that match everything else, and it is gone. Looks like I do see another one there. Yeah, this white mark right here. So just a quick fix there. And this car is looking better already. Every photo is different, every car is different, every subject is different. You can use this to clean up things that you just wouldn't ordinarily see, and I have found it very helpful, and I think you're going to find it helpful too once you get into your images. So that has been just a quick little tutorial. I hope this helps you on your editing process to make sure your cars are just that little bit better, that little bit cleaner, and make sure your clients are extremely happy with the work you can do. All right, that's going to do it for us today. Thank you for watching today's video. If you found this tip helpful, please drop a comment below, hit the like button, and that's it. So we'll see you on another video next week.